to teach this whole section of workshops that were in our training that was like questioning what is restorative. So if someone's really active and let's say really high strung, then they need the calming because they're already like the word which I shouldn't even use because I don't really know what it means is vata, right? Very active, right? But one of the things that I would get people to wonder about and question is that calming place also the beginning of activation? So if someone's really active, they need the calming. But from the place that's calmer is also the thing that is one of the energy sources of action. And so in a way, I would try to get yoga teachers to try to go, okay, restorative needs to also be a source of action, not the poses themselves, but the place that you get to through restorative poses, right? There's a calming there. And that place where let's call it a form of profound alertness, not just support, is the level at which, if especially if you live with neurological deficit, um, it's an essential place for us to be more in our body. Like, for example, I'm paralyzed from the chest down. I severed my spinal cord at T4. I don't get the same type of input from my legs to my brain that most of you get, right? I don't get the feeling, the direct feeling of my feet on the foot pedals. I don't get that kind of stuff. But when I go inward and start to use let's call it the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, the calming part of the nervous system, it turns out that perception of the body enhances and increases also. So I don't get to wiggle my toes in order to feel where my feet are. I have to go to the place that is revealed by restorative poses and realize that as a source of perception and action. So now, does this make sense to anybody? Am I on
Yes.
my own land? Okay, good. All right. So instead of it just being, oh, I need to put my head down on a pillow and restore, right? I'm often trying to get the student to go, wait, it's an energy source here. I feel more of me here, even though I don't have the loud input, right? I don't have the collision with the outer world, that actually there's more of me in that space. And it's going to guide me into better balancing poses. In a way, when you do a lot of good balancing poses, in order to do them well, instead of balance, for example, being a teeter-totter, like this balancing to get like two scales, that when you start to go to that inward place more, balance becomes an an expression of wholeness, right? And there's a whole other level of perception, which is a lot of what my teaching is trying to get across to all of you, and realize that it doesn't just have to be a collapsing place, that the parasympathetic nervous system, to use a term that sounds like I know what I'm talking about, right? The parasympathetic nervous system is actually an expansive place. The mind just has to like learn its language. And it turns out that this level of perception within the mind-body relationship comes when the brain can be more passive. So more input comes to the mind. Your mind only functions as your mind because it limits input. Your mind's getting not nearly the amount of input that's coming through your senses, right? So blah, 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 except I told you everything I think, right? And so a lot of adaptive students that live with all sorts of conditions, including myself, right? Because life is such a freaking struggle. Have you noticed? Holy hell. It's a struggle for everyone, but then you live with the disability and you're constantly managing, you're constantly in different kinds of pain, and you're constantly having all sorts of stuff, right? And so you think, oh my God, if I could just rest. Except when rest is stagnant, when it's just a stagnant form of energy, it doesn't actually help as much as you need it to, right? So one of the real gifts, I don't even know, but one of the realizations of adaptive yoga is to realize that this place that for an agitated mind is nourishing is actually a place where your spine can lead activation. All things being equal, we're wired to have our minds lead too much instead of the center of our life force, which is our spines, in my opinion. All right, so sit up straight and tall. So when I'm giving you all these freaking weird instructions, like feel symmetry, but in relationship to your presence in the whole room. Balance. And so when I ask you to do things like open to what's behind you, I'm trying to get you to go, wait. So as soon as I do that, I want to smile because my skin starts to tickle, right? Because this whole time I've been talking, I've been barfing out the front of my body, right? Talking, making sounds and stuff. And I forget that, oh my God, there's a whole bunch of stuff behind me. But if my mind worries about what's behind me, I think maybe there's threat back there, right? But right, if that's someone with PTSD, like someone go, got everything I can't control. I mean, it's actually a threat, right? Does anyone notice that if you live in the United States, that things are kind of effed up right now, and we're all kind of like having underlying degrees of threat, right? Like, what the hell's gonna happen, right? So that when that happens, the mind forgets to actually be in space. But when I ask you to open to what's behind you, what's above you, what's below you, I'm actually just getting you to try to like activate proprioception, right? Because that's a part of your nervous system without trying to control it with your mind. So you try to activate proprioception, but without having your mind being fluttering all over the place. So close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that and feel the skin, your forehead and the skin around your temples. So we're starting the journey inward, but we're trying to find a place of activation, a more holistic place of activation that includes more of your energy. The whole time, your whole day long, you've been in the room you're in. You've been a much more expansive space than your mind happens in. Your mind has to collapse the sensation of space in order to have thoughts. So feel your feet on the floor, your sitting bones. Open. So when I start to open, I start to almost tickle on my skin. So I want to feel the air on my skin, but I want there to be a base. I want there to be a structure. Lips together, teeth slightly apart. With my eyes closed, it's easier to let my mouth be like a cave. And the beautiful thing is in this space of quieting down, it's not just a pure surrender. It's not just being purely subject. Lift your sternum a little bit and transform the universe. Be more. Don't think of quieting your down as becoming less. Be more. Fill the vessel. So broaden across the collarbones. Gently broaden the space between your shoulder blades. Feel your sitting bones. Allow there being a dropping at your inner upper groin. Extend from your inner groin to the inner knee down to the inner heel. And as you do, extend your spine up. Now, as you did all that, did you forget the space behind you? I know I did. I forgot. What? It's because my mind can't be in charge. I have to let my consciousness receive. I have to meet existence with a little bit of discipline. I want to be here. I want to live here. I want it to be empty and full, and I want my breath to touch both my emptiness and my fullness. So it makes breath so miraculous. If you want to, bring your hands into prayer and find your midline, right? And let it activate your spine. Let it be an outer reflection of your midline. And then repose everything. You get to start again every single moment, all the time. It's fabulous. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind for more asana, for more movement. Smile because it's coming. You get to move. You don't have to stay static, but you have to remember the center, the core of it. The core is beautiful. Your life may not be. Not today. Might be later, though. Who knows? Good. And then release. Sternum up, chin down. Make this a prayer. Make yourself even more alert. Drop the chin in humility. Feel the core channel. Remember, there's fire here too, right? Life force. Your life force is coming up through your spine, from the earth through your spine. And you drop the chin, but there's air everywhere around you. Feel your breath into each nostril, reinforce your symmetry, each lung, each sitting bone, each foot. So much awaits you. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. So I think the Dalai Lama said this. I think that's where I read it, but it might have been someone talking about the Dalai Lama. I don't freaking know. It was something, there's some association here with the Dalai Lama, except maybe it's in my own brain. I have no idea, right? But I think it was someone talking about the Dalai Lama. Now I think about it, but everyone gets the same 24 hours in every day. Everybody. From that perspective, this is a profoundly equal place. You get the same. Now, a lot of us that are trained go, oh God, I don't do enough with myself. I don't do enough with myself, right? I should do more. I should be better. And right away, the more starts going, right? Oh God, I'm completely failing with my life, right? I do that all the time, right? Right. I get that, but that's my mind doing it, right? But when I like that idea that I get the same amount of time as everyone else, right? There's a line from the gospel according to Thomas. I guess I read some translation and it said something like, nothing is being hidden from you. That's the design of the universe. Everyone gets 24 hours in the same day. Nothing is being denied to you. You get the same 24 hours. So when I sit there in center and I start to feel myself in the whole room, and I realize the room was there all the time, it was me that left it, but it was sitting there giving. Like nature's constant, nature never rejects you, by the way. Never. You're always invited to be in its presence, right? Same deal. It's like when I sit in a room, it's like, wow, holy cow, I forgot this was here. So in that spirit, let's move around a little bit. Do you know that there's space between your vertebrae and your back? And your back, I've already told you, just believe it for a day, even if it's just an hour. Your spine is your life, is the center of your life force. And your head just organizes shit and thinks it's in charge, right? But it doesn't really add that much, by the way. It adds possibilities, but so just start moving around like you think that life's kind of sensual. Let's be a little bit more sensual today, because what the hell? Why does everyone try to think about all the historical and belief systems that try to deny our sensuality? Because somehow we're scared of sexuality, but sensuality and sexuality do not have to be the same thing. They do not. So I'm going to move through this space right now and let myself touch it, make myself a little bit more rhythm, a little bit like, hey, there's something kind of cool here. It's my brain, it's human brains that try to make it erotic, right? It's minds that go, oh God, this feels so good. It's got to do something. No, it can just be freaking great, right? You can let anything. Today, I guess it's supposed to get up to 81 here tomorrow, which seems wrong, by the way. That just seems like a mistake. However, I'm not going to let the gift horse in the mouth. I'm going to go out and let the warmth touch my skin. I'm going to party just a little bit with my spine. And I'm going to go, hey, this feels sensual. Because I guess, I can already tell when I started this class that I was possibly lining myself up for an overthinking week, which means it was going to become dry, not sensual. And because of that, I'm going to take my legs wide now. Because of that, I probably wouldn't write as well. I got to write this week, right? So it's like, but I got to remember to, as I'm looking for words and taking the life out of my experience, because that's what words do, right? Right? They take the beauty and the life out of the experience a little bit, and then your mind gets all caught up in saying it right. Right? So it's like, instead, I'm going to again move and do the movement, but make it sensual a little bit. Don't be afraid of that part of your connection. Can you imagine when all of a sudden, way back when, human beings started to really figure out rhythm? So much so that they started to bang on shit and they started to make like drums and stuff. It's like they went, wait, there's a whole other party going on somewhere around here, right? And I can hear it. And then some people started to hear it from the ether, and then they started to make instruments, right? And they started to make sounds. It's because they started to realize some of the dimension. So I'm wanting to put rhythm into my happening because my mind strips the happening of sensuality. What a mistake, right? What a profound mistake. And I think that's what I need to be to write well. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? It's amazing. Does anyone catch themselves being dumb? I do it all the time. It's like, oh my God, you're being so dumb again, right? Under the influence of trying to please others or achieve some vision of what you think is success, you become really dumb. I hope you're moving around a little bit, including your arms. And then if you can catch yourself being dumb, that's awesome, right? Especially if you can catch yourself being dumb without shaming yourself, right? Oh my God, I'm being stupid again, right? It's okay. So we're moving around because we're trying to activate different forms of blood flow, right? Is anyone noticing where they're sore? Like I'm becoming clearly aware through these movement patterns of all the places my muscles are completely jammed up, right? And where I ache. So my mind can be sad about it, or so I'm very much having certain stuff. So take a moment in your body and go, okay, from that movement, where are the places where the energy didn't move as well? Right? Where is it kind of jammed up? I can tell you, like I'm aching in the center of my wrist, across this collarbone. My shoulder hurts. There's some things going on. So I'm going to sit here and go. And whatever your story is, I know there's places in your body where the energy is kind of stuck up a little bit, kind of jammed up, right? So now I'm going to get in the midline, right? So I'm going to center again. And I can feel where I'm jammed up a little bit more. It might be one of your hips, might be one of your legs. I don't know. So I got jamming stuff happening here, right? So I'm going to put my hands on the table and I'm going to start to make sure mostly things get jammed up because it's overworking or it's been neglected, right? It's been left alone, right? And you've been making part of your body survive alone more. So what I'm going to do is practice my symmetry, right? So I'm going to see, oh God, I have been leaning on my right side more, my right arm and right shoulder. So I'm going to sit with my hands on the table before I start doing dog pose, and I'm going to equalize from side to side. For me, that means I need to untwist my spine a little bit. I need to feel my left hip more than my right hip. I need to feel my left hand more than my right hand. But I'm trying to make them come together, right? So whatever your story is, now I'm going to make and smile and feel a little bit sad. It's making me a little bit teary, right? How hard my right side's been working, right? So I'm going to ask my left side to take more of the work off my right side and go like, hey, sorry I left you alone again. And then I'm going to try to use my breath to be more symmetrical on both sides and try to go, oh, I need to support the places that have been carrying too much of the load. And breathe. And then one more midline practice, right? I'm going to come to midline this way. Because when I do this, I can activate my spine better. And I don't know what your practice has been, right? One of the reasons I keep having you do stuff like this is I want you to right away have a touchstone to your spine, right? That's why I do it so much in classes, right? And so now I'm going to make sure my midline is filling to both sides, right? And it turns out I can tell things. I've been making my right side work, carry the load, but I haven't been letting there be as much nourishment. I'm getting a big spasm in my shoulder because it's getting supported, right? Because it's all of a sudden, when someone lifts you up and you feel where your crinks were. Well, when someone supports you, you can tell where you've been overworking. That's what's happening to my shoulder right now. It's okay. Good. And then release. So now dog pose. So now I'm going to take the equal from both sides, right? And I'm going to try to activate my spine, hit down through my sitting bones, lift my chest a little bit, keep my gaze down, extend from backwards to my sitting bones, out to the top of my head, broaden across my collarbones, drop my shoulder blades down, work my underside of my arms towards the ceiling as my palms hit into the table. Holy cow, there's a lot of things going on. I'm just putting words to what I know to be dog pose. Do your dog pose and realize what's happening. Let your breath, the inhalation, and make space in your vertebrae. Keep pressing. The space is the restorative. The activation is hitting your sitting bones and stretching to the top of your head. So you make the space in your spine and you make sure it gets activated through the pose. The extra part of you that you weren't paying attention to, and then release. So again, we're trying to take the quiet restorative part. So I'm putting my hands, I want to make a bone connection. See, I'm having a whole bunch of spasms in my right arm, so I have to do some grounding things. Right. So I'm getting this good base. My forearms are on my legs, right? And I want to have the 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 lift of my chest and the rhythm of opening my chest while keeping the grounding, right? But as I lift my chest, I want to feel my legs more. And then when I go the other way, notice that when your spine convexes, perhaps you don't feel your legs as much. Can you tell that? Now rhythmically come through, right? You could call it cat. I'm going to call it upward facing dog. Stay grounded and make the fluctuations of the energy in the spine between concaving and convexing, make it be rhythmic, sensual, right? And notice, I hope you can tell when you lift your chest, you can kind of feel more in your legs, and then go the other way. You withdraw inward. If anyone's ever done Karmasana, turtle pose, that inward draw is part of the withdrawal of the senses. So when you concave, right? There's an inward draw. When you do the rounding, let the energy draw back, right? And then as you come out of it, open outward, like the coming out. So get used, don't just let it be a movement of your spine, let it be a movement of your senses, right? And then let the transition between the two be rhythmic, not abrupt. Let it one transform into the other. So I'm going back and forth. As I get more rhythmic, I can feel more and more, right? So then I kind of at the apex when I'm back bending some or doing something like upward facing dog. Do some of you naturally kind of want to look up, let in more sunlight, right? And then go the other way. So you're not just moving your spine, you're moving all of your senses. And the transition is rhythmic. The bridge is rhythm. back and forth. All right, come back into center. So let's lean way over. Stay balanced though. I never give up grounding, right? I could put a chair over here if I wanted to. In fact, I should sometime. Kind of wish I had a chair over here right now. So I'm gonna keep a grounding here. I got my elbow in tight to on my wheel, right? Now, someone needs to mute themselves. I think it's Claire Arneson, right? So then I'm gonna extend my spine, right? And then not extend my spine. So I'm gonna start making this more rhythmic. Oh, I like this. So as I do this, I'm pushing on my back leg. I'm using my elbow to extend my spine because I want to let my spine expand. And I keep going back and forth like this because it just feels good. I can feel my legs waking up. Now I might even add a little jump. Jump, right? There's a suspended feeling at the top of a jump, right? Before you come down. You know who was stunning at that? Michael Jordan seemed to be able to hang at the apex of his jump, right? And just have a little bit more time up there. How do you think he did that? I'm gonna try it right now. I'm gonna stay at the apex and then come back down slowly. And I'm gonna go the other way. I don't jump as well this way. Damn it. I'm gonna go the other way. Gotta do it all differently here. Right. Try to get. Can't believe my. Oh, I gotta practice here. Oh. I'm gonna pause a little bit there at the top, but can I pause at the top without straining? I don't think Michael Jordan like strained at the top up there. Somehow he floated as he came back down. You mean you need to practice body tricks? You totally do. That's the whole point. Practice the tricks, right? Believe that there are tricks. Because somehow, if I go this way and I go up, no, that's not good. Up. If I lean over and go up, right? The thing that helps me pause up there is restorative energy. It's more like Shavasana. No, I'm going to go the other way. Extending my spine, right? And then keeping the feeling of pause up there, not just the strain of getting there. Come back to center and I'll go the other way. Right? And then get into the apex and then finding the pause. Right? We'll try some different positions, right? So I'm changing my base a little bit because my pose needs it. So find what's working for you, right? Not try to make more of a rhythm from side to side. So choose less so you can have more rhythm, right? And remember, these spinal movements are trying to make you feel your whole body, not just your spine, because you're letting the energy revealed by restorative be a deliverer of awareness, not your effort, right? The strain to get there is one thing. The consequence is another, right? One comes from will, one comes from restorative. Good, and then come back to center, do dog pose. Whatever your version is. I can find for me, it's really challenging not to overuse or misuse my right arm. So I'm equalizing again. And then come on back. I want to feed my midline a little bit. So I'm going to try to push in on my knees a little bit because Tadasana is like, I want to get this core channel, right? Right. So I want you to put your knees straight out in front of your hips and then, I have to hold them in a little bit because if I want to get the feeling uh, of depth from my knees to my groin, right? And then from that, I want to lift my chest and then release. And then again, make this corridor to lift my chest. Right now, if you want to push in on your own knees, do that because I want you to get your femur bones and your spine. I'm going to do this rhythmically, in fact. I'm going to hit my femur bones back into my hip sockets so I can then lift my chest and make there be a rhythm between the depth and the extension in my spine. Right? So I'm going to make this more rhythmic. Good. Now inhale. Exhale. Arm behind you. Now I'm pulling on this leg because I'm trying to keep the midline energy in, not letting my elbow flail out. I'm bringing it towards my midline. So I'm trying to move my limbs into my midline as a vehicle to more purely extend my chest, open my chest, and extend my spine. So with this midline energy going up and down, I'm going to inhale, lift up, and exhale, revolve. But I want this midline energy to be leading the twist. And then once I'm there, broaden across the collarbones, expand the space between your shoulder blades. Feel each heel on the floor. Feel the space between your sitting bones. Good, and then release. So sometimes yogis I think some of the people before us have tried to differentiate between the sun and the moon, right? Like a more sparkling energy, let's say, or like sun energy, and the more darker, cooler moon energy. I would say if forced into a delineation, I would say midline energy is more moon energy, right? It's quieter. I have to do different stuff. So again, now I'm going to go the other way. So inhale, lift your arm up. Expansive touch of sun, come into the midline. Find a way to get this core channel. Now the core channel is going to require a different kind of attention from my mind, right? And hit down through my sitting bones, lift my chest. Extend down through my heels, right? To extend my spine. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. Right? And I'm trying to pour my energy. So this arm's going in, this leg's pulling in, so my midline energy can expand. So I can draw from a midpoint of each inner thigh up through my chest, while at the same time extending down through my heels. So the thing about a twist like this is I'm having to open to the midline, but I'm using my will to move my body. Good, and then come on, back to center. So I can always tell when I've really done something kind of deep and maybe overdone it a little bit, because I came out of that twist and I can kind of feel little spots in my vision. Not big spots, but I'm needing to go, wow, I might have done that pretty deep. Right. So when you do that, you come back to your midline. So you come back to Tadasana, right? And maybe it didn't happen for you, but never hurts to come back to your midline anyway. Right. And then start so my hands are on the table. I'm smiling because that twist kind of showed me my midline. Right. It's not that I made a mistake, but I got pretty willful in the twist. Right. So I just want to acknowledge the price I paid for that much will. I'm breathing. So now I'm going to do this and take up more space. So I'm going to lean over and go. Oh. Now here, I don't have to worry about overdoing my midline, right? All right, so Melinda, have your arm out straight up from your shoulder, not up here. That's for later, right? Now find the connection between the shoulder blades. Find the connection between the sitting bones. Find the connections between the heels. Open your chest and let it fill everywhere. Good, and then release. So this weird instruction I just gave, open your chest and let it fill everywhere. Could everyone kind of do it? You know what I'm talking about a little bit? Just nod your head and go, yeah, what the hell? What the hell? It's because maybe the center of the chest might be the seat of consciousness. Shh. But the only way you know it's true is from the restorative energy. The restorative energy reveals dimension. It's the beginning of activation. What the hell is he talking about? I've been talking about for a long time, so now I'm going to go the other way. Right? So it's like, what? Now I don't have to worry about getting too much will, too much, unless I get really stupid. Right? I'm capable of getting really stupid at any moment in a yoga pose. But I'm going to feel the dimension. I'm going to tuck things, fold things back into my midline, extend my spine. But then as I'm here, I'm going to open the center of my chest and fill my arms and my legs, right? But in order to make it work, I got to ground my sitting bones, right? All of a sudden, the whole pose has to freaking happen. Those damn yogis were pretty freaking smart. What the hell? They kind of knew some stuff. They're trying to get you to move from inside to out. Good, and then release. Come back to the midline. Now I'm going to take that energy. Has anyone figured out how to make your spine hover? So I got a whole bunch of sore places in my back, but I'm going to now take the energy I just did. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to ground, and I'm going to let the energy inside of my spine float. What? So I'm going to let it float enough so then I can understand at a different level what it means to balance my head over my neck. Because I could have just gone to that instruction, right? But then your head would have thought it was in charge. Now I'm trying to float my spine to float my head, to feel the earth more. the floating energy can be used to enhance the sensation of the earth? Yes. Now, I want you to feel this and this and this. And then don't forget the space behind you, the whole universe. It's your connection to the space in the room that floats your spine, that makes you feel more of your being. What if it's this simple? And I forget. I did a lot of forgetting until this morning. Makes the remembering sweeter, right? That I forgot it. Doesn't make me stupid. Watching your breath. Ooh, I can feel the spaces in my right arm that got more energy, that are a little bit freaking out and spasming a little bit because they're going like, what the hell with this other energy, right? And do a little back bending because I like it, right? And as I go back over the back of my chair, I'm going to open my chest. So, and then come back. So I could tell right as I was doing that, I forgot to include my skin, right? So on this next one, I'm going to come back and feel the skin everywhere, right? And do it again, back, up, over, remembering to let air touch everywhere. Good. And then come back. I have certain lines that rattle through my head when I realize stuff, because Anger writing, all knowledge comes from the skin. Intelligence comes into poses through the skin. What the hell could any of that mean? Except I feel a little smarter when I included my skin. Because in order to include my skin in a pose, I have to have restorative energy. I have to have Shavasana. I have to have the quiet. So sit up straight and tall in here for a second. Do whatever it is that allows you. Intelligence enters through the skin, right? To feel more of your skin, and notice the drop that your mind has to do into your body in order to feel your skin. By the way, your skin was here the whole time, just so you know. You were never skinless, right? Your mind just doesn't think skin matters. It does. Apparently, some dude that knows more than me says it's the source of intelligence, which means a certain kind of softness is part of my intelligence. So I'm going to breathe into that, the softness that's required for me to feel my skin. Somebody's calling that intelligence. I like it. Just going to take my right hand outside my left knee real gentle. I'm going to do a little bit of a twist here, but try to include the skin, which means a different part of me has to be part of the twist. So that's going to stop me from twisting too far, right? Because in order to feel my skin, my will has to take a back seat, come back to center, go the other way. How could skin awareness take the edge off my will? And why would BKSR call that intelligence? I don't know, except I do kind of know. Good, and then come back to center. Practice a little bit of symmetry. I think I know what he's talking about. I can feel it. What might be a more intelligent state. When I try to feel my skin, I get softer, but it doesn't mean I have to get lost in my emotions. There's another dimension here. Restorative is the source of action. So I'm practicing a little bit of symmetry before Shavasana. Because then I'm going to let the chair hold me up. I'm going to really practice receiving support. I still got all those places in my body that were sore and are firing extra, right? But they don't have to define me. I can hear the firing, but be in the place below the firing, right? Below where it hurts. And take support there. Lips together, teeth slightly apart. Notice the hum. Smile because someone thinks that soundless sound sounds like Om. I can kind of get it. You can let go of your teeth and your gums. Feel your breath. Don't change it. Thank your body. Think it again. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly deeper inhalation, slightly longer exhalation. When you're ready, open your eyes. If you need to close them again, do. And then open them. The thing that's tricky is that the more that waits for you without content, right? And so the ability not just to calm your mind down, but to get to the place where you can allow there to be more without having to judge it is the ground of self-realization. And the thing about self-realization is it doesn't tell you what to do, right? Doesn't instruct your life, but in order to get there, you most likely have to um, be quiet enough and connected enough where certain things become true. Like you wouldn't want to act violently. You wouldn't want to, you feel connected to all things, you know, it actually changes you if you let it in more. And know that that place never abandons you. You abandon it. You maybe knew it never it was there, right? But it never left you, and you and I have the exact amount of time that the Dalai Lama has. And part of it is you got to get there through restorative. Got to get the dimension. You can like reach more things if you get really strong and flexible, right? But it doesn't guarantee dimension. Dimension has to be received. Just don't let anyone tell you what to believe. Make that your own choice. All right, hands together. Namaste. The spirit in me bows the spirit in you.